Hello yogis, my name is April and welcome to the Yoga Ranger Studio and welcome to this Yin Yoga snack focused on hamstrings. So we're going to look at hamstrings in a multitude of different ways, just 3 poses. If you are focusing on trying to unwind the tension in your hamstrings, or maybe you have a lot of tightness here and you're just looking to add something to your regular routines, this is a great practice to add at the beginning or end of your normal practice or exercise program in the morning, at night, or even in the middle of the afternoon if you need just a little break and you just want to stretch out your hamstrings because that feels good for you. Stretching out your hamstrings will also help with lower back pain and also some glute tension. It's also been really helpful for me with SI joint issues, is to keep my hamstrings very mobile and open. So a place to focus on to help with lower back pain as well. If you would like to use a prop for this practice, just one blanket or a folded beach towel will work, but you don't have to have that if you don't want to. It's just sort of an extra something to give you a little proppage, especially if you have kind of tight hamstrings. So we're going to start in a wide-legged dragonfly. So taking heels out to the side. This is not your widest dragonfly or your widest wide forward fold. Sort of that 2/3 of your maximum place here. If you have a lot of tension in your hamstrings, bend your knees and keep them a little bit soft here so you have a little bit of space to go forward. Starting to lean yourself forward. You may begin to feel this on the inside of the leg and maybe a little bit on the back side. If you have a lot of mobility in your hamstrings, you can have those knees all the way flat to the floor and stretch out a little bit further. This is where my hamstrings will let me go. Taking some nice deep breaths here. Maybe over time, your hamstrings will start to soften up and you can start to take those heels out and bring the knees down, or maybe not. Notice if you're holding any muscle tension here. I often find that my thighs on the top tend to hold a little bit of muscle grip because the hamstrings are so tight. They're kind of fighting with each other. And just softening that space, just breathing into it, asking your muscles to relax so we can focus on the connective tissue. Notice as we hold the pose longer that you may feel some shifts in how your hamstrings may be feeling or things that come up physically, emotionally. Just noticing your breath and extending your exhale a little bit longer, which helps everything sort of relax and soften. One more deep inhale and exhale. And then using your fingertips, start to walk yourself back up. Reach for the inside of your knees and lift using your hands to bring you up to center. Here you can take your feet flat, knees toward the ceiling, and just rock a little bit side to side. Now we're going to focus on a different area of the hamstrings. So here again, using our prop if you want to, sitting on the very edge, we're going to come into a forward fold or caterpillar pose. So here again, maybe your knees are a little bit softer, sitting on the very edge. This helps tilt your pelvis forward naturally and just let your body kind of fold there. If you have a lot of tension in your hamstrings, you might want to take your heels just a little bit wider, about hip widths or hip distance apart. If you have more mobility in your hamstrings, you can take your heels out further away from you. No reaching here. We often find ourselves trying to get a little bit deeper. Wherever you're at, it's just fine. That's enough for you today. Remember that as we hold the poses, it automatically deepens. And so we find ourselves at a deeper point after the number of minutes of hold time. So just breathing into the space here. And once again, finding that maybe after a few breaths, you can stretch your knees out a little bit more and get a little bit straighter leg, maybe not. Using your breath as a guide to extend your exhale, helping relax any muscle tension. Slowly releasing your hamstrings, your lower back. Two more deep inhales and exhales. And using your fingertips and walking back up nice and slow. Maybe taking your hands behind you here again, just sort of wiggling your feet a little bit side to side, even bending your knees if you want to. Bouncing your knees often feels good. Maybe lifting your chest and arching back. And slowly coming back to center. Our last pose is going to work with the hamstrings, but in a slightly different way. We're going to come into butterfly pose, so bringing the bottoms of the feet together. We're going to start with it really far away from us. So taking the feet out as far as you can to where they just start to split apart and you can't keep them together any longer. You may automatically begin to feel this a little bit. I always start to feel a little bit in the outer hamstring as I take my feet further away from me. Starting to reach down, maybe folding forward. Making any adjustments here. Maybe it's a little bit deeper than I wanted to go. Just resting your hands on your feet. you find you can take your feet really far away from your head, that's okay. Take them as far away as you can. And just where they start to split apart and you can no longer keep them together. One more breath. Nice deep inhale. Exhaling out your mouth. Taking your hands to the inside of your heels and walking back up. Shifting this, we're pulling those feet really close in. So for some people, this may be more comfortable. For me, it is not. But just working, I feel a little bit more in the inner hamstring than I do the outer hamstring in this. So here again, maybe you don't go very far here, maybe you do. Finding wherever it is you can go, as close as you can get those heels, where you can get a little bit of a forward fold. Remember, in your poses, you're always just looking for sensation, whatever that may be for you. You want to just relax into this and let yourself go to 2/3 of your maximum. Taking a moment to notice where you feel this differently than where you felt maybe some of the other poses that we've done in this practice. And know that even if you don't have a lot of sensation here, it's still working with the same area. And whether you fold deeply all the way to the floor or you're upright, as long as you're feeling some sensation at all, then you're achieving whatever you need to. And gently walking your fingers back upright, taking your hands to the outside of your knees, taking those feet flat, knees toward the ceiling. Lean back, a little windshield wiper here, maybe some big movements. Sometimes it feels good to move a little bit bigger than small windshield wipers. Coming back to center to whatever seated position you like best. Taking a moment to check in. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. I hope you enjoyed this. This is a great one to use if you are someone working on developing some hamstring mobility. I myself am constantly working on that. A lifetime of building tight hamstrings results in a lot of time unbuilding them. So it's taken some time to really stretch them out. Use this any time of day, morning, afternoon, night, to help unwind some of the tension. Here again, it will affect the lower back as well, your SI joint up into your mid back, and will help kind of unwind that tension there as well. So a great one to use whenever. Have a great week.